Thank you for everyone who's joining us today for our very first podcast. All right, I got a whole crew with me today. We're not going to introduce everybody at one time, but this is Notes from the NEGRO section. All right, this is the very first podcast that you've ever heard that's going to be like this. So I want you to be excited, strap on your seatbelt, and let's go. Tonight, we're talking about something. We're talking about God. We're talking about religion. We're talking about spirituality. We're talking about all that stuff. I want to know, and we want to know as a collective, we want to know, has religion been used as a tool of control? That's what we want to know right now. We're going to go around the table and see what the fellas think about that. So, HQ, we're going to start with you, all right? We want to know, religion, is it a tool for control? What you think?
I think it's hard to say yes, and that's like a yes or no question. Yes, it has been, but then no, it's been used to formulate some great civilizations throughout our history. You know, you could take it all the way back to the Mayans. But as when man gets a hold of anything, as they say within the Bible, we corrupt. So we're imperfect. We corrupted. Like as growing up, obviously, growing up black, most of us grew up within a household that probably went to church at least every Sunday up until the age of 12. And after that, you got to stay home after your parents. When their parents ask you want to come to church, they say, no, I don't know. You went outside playing with your friends. But as you got older, you start getting your own relationship, your own experiences through religion. I think most of us obviously sought higher education in this group and got a chance to meet a diverse group of, diverse background. I think when you get to experience other cultures, you see it's not a form of control, but you see it's more of an expression of your history, of your culture. But when I think on our side of things and just looking at ours, like obviously no one knows African history. No one knows African religion. Like a buddy of mine was telling me about how he watched The New Roots and how, you go to church, you see your friends get married in black wedding, they jump the broom. Like that's not really, like how could they jump a broom in Africa? What are they sweeping up in Africa? So why are you jumping a broom? It's like, he's like, right. That was a slave tradition started by the slaves because we picked up what parts, I'm assuming, like I said, I don't know completely like that, but I'm assuming that was the way to, use religion. If you watch the movie of Birth of a Nation, it was used to docile the slaves. They would get uppity, bring that black preacher around and say some good words so that he could speak to him. Like even in the movie, I think it was a friend of mine on my Instagram put a post up saying that one pivotal scene, like when the young boy grabbed that book, the mother said, no, don't grab, not the mother, but the slave owner's mother, don't grab that book. You want to understand what's in here. Take this book, take this Bible, learn this. And it was like they had a chance to give us give us education or give us allow us to understand, but they rather give us a form of control through religion. I think, like I said, it's a yes or no type of thing. I want to pick one side, but at times I have my belief. I call on the higher power when I feel like, I hit the wall. But then at times I do see it when people are like, when we have friends who are in the pastoral field. It's like, how do you preach that when that's not your history? Like you literally preaching something that we just took it because it was there. Like that's not initially our history, but after 400 years, it's become our history. And we have no way to go back to our history because it's been destroyed. I think it was a video that you put me on of James Baldwin when he asked, how does a black man supposed to know his history when everything about it was destroyed?
True that.
So that comes in within religion.
If I hear you correctly, I guess what it sounded like right now, HQ, is that you saying that, yes, initially it was used as a form of control, but not so much now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, I am. I think now it's giving people some form of hope and also teaches compassion for other races, other cultures. In my opinion.
All right, I can dig that. I think probably what we're looking at now though, that's a little bit different from like religion. Like I say, religion I think is probably more man-made, other than like spirituality or some connection to a higher power. So I think that's something we'll probably address a little later on. But right now you kind of at a gray area. So yes or no. I can dig that. All right, so we're gonna switch up a little bit. We're gonna switch from HQ. We're gonna holler at my man Dub, and we're gonna see, what you got to say about this, bro. What you think, man? Is it a tool or what?
All right, so my take on the whole thing with religion being a method of control, I feel like it is. But now it's how you use your control, who's in control of it. Like with the slave days, with African slaves, they use it as a control to control slaves. He was docile, he was subservient, and promised us a greater life later on after this hell on earth, right? And so religion still, people who run churches still use it as a form of control. Now, whether they use it for good or bad, that's on who's wielding who's in the pulpit, so to speak, right? So if you have somebody leading you in a good direction, you might be in the right. It might wrong with it being a form of control, but there's somebody who's using the control to say bash somebody else, like saying God hates fags. That's a whole other way, thing. Because some people who don't really understand things, they use that to use their personal biases and they hate and everything against somebody else. So I think religion is definitely used to control people. And like HQ said earlier, as far as African Americans, we don't know what that may be, but I feel like it's so many religions like teaching some similar things, and it's hard to check out what the actual religious practices were and the customs that religion was. But I'm looking at like Christianity and at Islam and at Judaism and even Buddhism. A lot of them teach a lot of the same core principles. Live a good life right now, and you'll be rewarded later on. Some are much later on. Some are more as soon as you die in a holy base. Like you die tomorrow, if it's for the right reason, you get 35 virgins in paradise. So salvation or enlightenment, whatever it promise you, is later on, and they using that as a way to get you to maybe put a bomb on your chest and go blow a building up, or go to a third country and preach to them on how to be better people and give them water or give them food and teach them stuff. So I think religion is definitely a way to control people, and how you use your control and how whether it's good or bad. So I think that's why HQ has a problem picking yes or no either way, because I think it's a form of control, but it's just how you use it. So I agree with him a little bit.
So at this point though, basically you're saying it is a tool of control. It just kind of depends on whose hands it falls into and what they intend to do with it. Okay, I can dig that. Big Win, what you got to say about that, bro?
I've heard some real interesting, aspects on it already. I think honestly, it is built into our core structure as a society now that it's just used to, make more of a political gain sometimes, and then also just to get people to actually do their bidding for them. Just like, you can go back to 13th, 14th century, man, and you can see what they did with the Crusades and with everything. Like they use their religion and their beliefs to get people to get behind them and fight this war. It was always meant to be controlled, in my opinion. So I would say yes. I didn't answer your question. I apologize, but that I think it is a form of control. And so what you have is that you have these kings and all these people higher up who actually can enforce their rules and their laws no matter how just or unjust they are. But when you have an instance where you just enforcing these laws and just breaking people over the head, you eventually have to come up with a solution, and getting them to believe what your rule is by the rule of God helps perpetuate that and get you going in that direction. And so that, you know, and then it still continue. And then, you know, you fast forward, and then slavery. Heck yeah. They dumped it on us while we're still trying to, you know, root out our African tradition. I had a friend of mine who's from Guatemala, and he asked me, he was like, man, why do black people, you know, go to church and they jumping and, you know, being loud and, you know, just very like boisterous and loud? And I was like, man, you know what? I've always believed that it was our way of just taking the Western religion that was dumped on us and making it our own. And so I think we've kind of taken it and used it, you know, it went from a form of control, and we used it to try and hold on to our tradition. Now I think it's a little bit more for profit now, but I mean, religion is always seen as control. It's political power. The more people you got behind you, the more you can control society. You know what I mean? And the more you can, you know, push your beliefs on people, you know, the more you can make change. And so, Chris, you know, hit on it too, or Dove hit it on it too, that, you know what I mean? Like, they go over to, you know, these African countries, and they're like, you know, if you do this, you're gay. If you do this, you're gay. You do this, you're gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they take missions over there and use God to be like, we don't want anybody else to be gay. And if you find anybody else is gay, it's gotten to the point where in Uganda, if you're gay, somebody will kill you. Like, there's no gray area anymore. And so it's a form of control. It's used from our society to others to, you know, age old, to beginning of fucking man. So that's my thing.
Since the beginning of time, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Bo, it's on you. This was originally, you know, one of the topics that you had, you know, kind of brought up. So I'm pretty sure you got something interesting to say about it. So what's up, man? Speak your mind.
First of all, man, I just want to say, dude, like, Q Lewis, Big Win, HQ, Dub, Lawson, even though he disappeared somewhere, myself. I mean, all bros, college educated, gainfully employed, and avoided all the statistics and whatnot. So I just want to give a big shout out to all of us for that, first of all, man. You know, BD representing. But now, as far as, you know, so now as far as religion as a form of control, like myself, man, yes, I happen to believe in God, in a higher power. Now, the whole tenets around religion, you know, and you must do this and pray on this day, and you got to take catechism or whatever it is. I mean, like, it's too many similarities between the major religions in the world for me just to say, hey, Christianity is it, or Islam is it. You know, so that doesn't really make sense to me. And if you go back and you look at all the cultures on this planet, you know, like, you know, obviously Africa is not a country; it's a continent. You know, huge continent with all kinds of countries and different cultures in it. You know, and people were robbed to that. So it's not really like, you know, or we know, you know, what could have been. You know, so it's, you know, if people were to leave us alone, or, you know, if that would have never happened, would it be Christianity? You know, would it be Catholicism? Would it be, you know, Judaism? You know, would it be Islam? I don't know. But the one thing I can say is, like, we don't know about our African, you know, religious roots, I guess you say. You know, things like Yoruba and all that has, you know, like a deep, like, similarities to Christianity. You know, if you go back and look at the history books, man, there are so many different figures that resemble Jesus Christ. That whole story of Jesus Christ that supposedly existed way before he did. So, I mean, yeah, like I don't think, like, God itself, you know, I don't think that's the control. What I think is control is what they put around God, you know, how we're supposed to worship, you know, how we're supposed to go about fellowship, that type of thing, man. Like, you know, if you go back 100 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, and they're denying black folks to read certain books, but they're going to give the most sacred book in the world to you, like a Bible? That doesn't make sense to me. You know, you won't let me look at this math book, but you're going to give the most sacred book on this planet, supposedly, to me and let me read it. I mean, that's just like something you got to ask yourself. It just don't make sense to me, you know?
Definitely, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, for sure.
And I think just to piggyback on that, just like, pretty much what everybody else said, I think that at some point it is used as a tool of control. And I think to this day, even, just to kind of contrary to what HQ was saying, I think that it's still the same thing. I think it still is a tool. And the reason I say that, though, is because obviously, when something is powerful, that's when the powers that be always try to corrupt it, which is the same reason why a lot of people, I won't say most people, but a lot of people don't go to church now, because a lot of the churches are corrupted because they've become political and money driven. I think that when you know something has power like that, the best way to take away that power is to corrupt it, and that's what's happening. So I think that's proof in the pudding right there that is most definitely still used as a tool of control. And when I say religion, I just want to make sure that that we're clear that religion and spirituality is definitely two different things. Like, you can have a connection with a higher being, whether that be God, Allah, Buddha, or whatever it is you're doing. But the religion aspect is more like I think you kind of mentioned this a moment ago, Bo, is kind of the things that surround that. So this is like the business structure, of it. I think that most definitely is a tool of control. But with that being said, I think we're kind of in agreement on that. But I wanna throw this back around here too, and I'm gonna shoot this one to Dub first. If it is a tool of control, what exactly are they controlling us to do? Like, you got any idea on that?
What they control us to do?
Yeah, like what are they using that control for?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's because, like I said, back a long time ago, when the Bible wasn't religious texts weren't available to all people,
right,
and somebody had to translate it and tell you what it meant. It was easy for you to follow me. I'm the key to your salvation. I'm interpreter to your salvation. You need to come through me.
Right.
To get to where you want to go to at the end of your life. And so I feel like it was a way of having power, because look back in the day, like they put a freaking religious head figurehead more still as a king, so, or emperor, whatever. So it's just his power. So like, you control the religion part, the political part, you control people everywhere. Right. Like now, like the people, these religious, the power. Think about it. So like, some people, like Republicans, right, who are dirt poor, who vote against their interests, right? And a lot of times they do it just based off of religious values, like the abortion issue, right? Or the gays. That's right. It. That'd be the only thing they base it up on, is those two things. I'm gonna vote against what's best for me and my family, which is fine for you to do,
right?
But they use the religion to sway you that way. Because in the Bible, I say use the Bible for example, there's no homosexuality 2 or 3 times in the Bible. What about thieves and murder, all through it, right? But the one thing you beat your chest on, right, is 2 dudes laying down together. Which, I don't do your thing, but why are you basing that, like, your all decision off of that right there? Like, oh, it's Adam and Adam. Oh, you going to hell forever. And now we had a whole march against you, and we're gonna attack you forever. But the dude who's still in the line and his neighbor's wife and all that other than the 10 Commandments, homosexuality didn't list it off. He didn't list it off. But nowhere did it make the list. So why is that?
Well, that's
the end all.
That's because as all the scriptures get, like you said, kind of translated, because obviously it wasn't in any language that anybody could read, and then people do what people do, which is they assume the role of judge and jury, so they get to decide which sin is bigger than another sin. That's how people do, and that's normally what happens. HQ, what you think about that, man? What you think about that, HQ?
Say the question again. The question was like, it was a good answer by Dub, but give me the question again.
Yeah, so if it is a form of control, what do you think the powers that be are trying to control you to do?
It goes back to that old I don't know if it's saying or if it's a metaphor or cliche, or is it an old Chinese proverb about the frog got on the back of the frog like the scorpion on his back. But now he told the scorpion, please don't sting me, please don't sting me. You know what I'm saying? But the scorpion was going to do what it's supposed to do, sting you. But not knowing it,
Right.
you're not knowing it, you're focused on something else. The frog is focused on swimming across the pond. He's not really paying attention to the scorpion stinging the mess out of him. I think that's the form of control. What is going on is the powers that be. You know, I can't say. I mean, the powers that be are recharging the system that's in place, that those 1%ers stay 1%ers. But now the world has become so open to thanks to the internet. It's a gift and a curse. It's, you know, because it's creating curiosity, and the curiosity is creating facts and evidence, and it's destabilizing that foundation that was created on top of that control through religion and things that, you know, various things of that type. Like, it's tearing it down. Like, a lot of people, like you said, are becoming more spiritual. They don't believe you know, going to that church every day, but I'm going to be more spiritual. I'm going to treat others how I choose to be treated. I'm not going to kill this individual. I'm not going to judge this individual off his creed. I'm judging him off his character, how he or she treats him. I think that's where it's coming into play, that the world is seeing that, but the powers that be are trying to do their best to reestablish that. Like, I think this past year's, you know, nomination for presidency is allowing that, but the nonconformity of that person they put in place is messing up their plan, and everything's crumbling around them. Because if you look at it, you look at your daily news, the world is seeing our established culture of religion and prosperity, and, you know, you get the picket fence with the American dream is becoming destroyed because the foundation is starting to crumble and they don't have anything else to stand on. I think that's, like I said, people are becoming more spiritual. Like I said, people are, I wouldn't say walking away from the church, but they're walking away from that interpreter because they're no longer needed. I can read this word for myself and seek it through different avenues, as Bo presented, you know, different religions, but it's all saying the same message. Like, something I caught a couple years ago, and I was like, you know, as much as they painted Louis Farrakhan as, you know, this radical, this guy, which he was in his early part of his era, in his heyday, but I think as he got older and wiser, and he was educated in both Texas. If you look at some of his interviews within the last 5 to 7 years, you see that he's drawn true comparison between Islamic faith and Christianity faith. He's showing you that the message is the same. We chose to separate it, but it was separated because, you know, different continents. But now all those continents are coming together because of religion, not religion, just because of now we can visit our neighbor, whether it be by plane, ship, or internet, and people are seeing a lot of these religions are saying the same thing, but they're also saying treat others well. Like, I think they're seeing that the control part came from the powers that be, and like I said, I think we're becoming more smarter, more aware, because we're making better choices. Like I said, how the movement, like I said, as C Dub stated, people are no longer people aren't as harsh as they were on homosexuality. Like, literally, you would get trapped in the streets, and that dude is getting beat to a bloody pulp because he like guys. Now it's like, hey, man, how you doing? Can you fix my carburetor? My car. You know, that's your boyfriend. Nice to meet you. How you doing? It's no longer passe. It's no longer passe because I think you see more people are accepting of spirituality and no longer in agreement with the religion, because you see more people more welcoming or more open to seeing why we're different. And then when they see it, we're really not different. I think it's pissing the masses, the powers that be up, because they couldn't use that no more. You can't have, there's no such thing as, there can't be a gay guy in office. There's a transgender woman in the Senate. You know what I'm saying? There's a gay president. Like, it was a photo I seen a year or two ago where they had the world leaders together, right? And they had their wives together. It was a dude there in the photo. Like, he's the first man. It's the prime minister. I forget what country. Yeah, he called me up. I was like, the first. It was a dude in the photo. Like, he's the first man of the first. His husband's the prime minister. I forget what country. But we're seeing that the powers that be are falling. Those same rich people sitting on the top are their foundation is getting disabled, but they don't know what to do. And I think hopefully we are a better culture to make the next set of better decisions than they did. I'll leave it at that.
Right, and I agree with that too, though. And like you said, I think that's where that dividing part comes in, is the aspect of actual religion. Because once you start seeing some of these people and start meeting some of these people and start learning their face and things, it helps you remember that at some point we all pretty much have the same moral ground. And like I said, that religion is kind of used as, I would even
divider.
I would even take it, exactly, as a divider, but also like as the rod, right? Because it's the one that's gonna punish you if you do something wrong from what the religion says. At least that's what you think. Big Win, what you got to say about this?
Man, I think I'm on the same page with y'all, man. I mean, I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to cover up the fact that what they have can't last. And unless they keep us all under control, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They can't keep doing what they're doing. They can't keep taxing us and keep doing. Now we see that now, like HQ said, I got to get these names right. Like HQ said, but he said their structure is falling down around them, and so they don't know what else to do. And honestly, it's also been used we've used it against ourselves as well too in the black community. My dad grew up in Mississippi, and he grew up in those rural churches, man, where everything was bad, and you were taught that you were bad, and you had to work for your salvation. You had to do these things for your salvation, but it was just meant to scare everyone into doing what they wanted them to do, and the pastors wanted them to do, because there's no longer slavery now. You know what I mean? So now they want to, benefit from it and get Sister Mary to donate $5,000 to keep the building up. Now you got to donate, you got Deacon William over there. He donated his whole pension fund because, and we're using it against ourselves. Now it was used to, control all of us, but now we're using it against ourselves for profit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. I say my prayers every day, man. And I believe in that higher power. But anyone that comes to me like, "Oh, have you been saved? What church do you go to?" I'm like, "Oh, you mean where do I spend my money?" You know what I'm saying? I was like, "You can check my gym membership. That's up to date. My body is a temple. I take care of myself." I was like, I don't fill myself with negativity and nonsense. You know what I mean? That's and that's up for you to interpret. The book is written as it is. It's to be interpreted. It's meant to be interpreted. Right. And to interpret it in the sense that you want to rule is not what it was written for. It was just written to help you guide your soul from one point to the next.
Exactly. To help you out in your travel, and on Earth. Mm-hmm. And I think that the whole issue is, I think how we mentioned before, is just the power. I think people in general, human beings in general, I think that's what we search for, the power and the opportunity to dominate over a different group of people. Like, that's kind of how we're built. And it's unfortunate because, of course, in order for that to happen, somebody's got to be on the bottom. And I think that's what happened with us. And Bo, I know we're still talking about this, but I honestly kind of want to switch it up just a little bit. I want to ask you this, since we kind of on the subject. I want to say, from your standpoint, because I know you've seen a few different, a few different nationalities, probably a few different faiths. Do you think that this religion as control is a black problem, or is it everybody problem?
Man, I think I honestly think it's an everybody problem, right? The thing is, though, it becomes more of a black problem because if you look at everybody else, man, everybody else got their house in order. You know, the different countries I've been to, you know, wealth is kept within their culture. You know, education is kept within their culture. You know, they teach within their means what they want to teach, and like we don't. You know, we can't. You know, we are subject to what is put out there for us. You know, and so like even though I think everybody is kind of subject to, you know, the man-made parts and aspects of religion controlling them, it's like we still don't have an identity. You know, we don't have something to go back to like everybody else does. You know,
exactly. And I think that's probably the biggest problem, and because it's that disconnect. So when you talk about Black history, and this is even for us, you know, until we got older. When we talk about Black history, you talk about slavery, you talk about the Civil Rights Movement, you talk about Jim Crow. Like in Black history, you don't talk about, you know, Nefertiti and King Tut and Egypt and the pyramids. Like, you don't talk about that as if it's somebody else's history, but it's ours. And that disconnect there is part of the problem. But because we're disconnected, it was so much easier to just go ahead and use that Bible as a divider. And I think that's why it's used, you know, as a system of control, because again, when you know, as a human being, you looking for that power, and unfortunately, it seems like it's been so consistent that we've been ended up on the bottom, and again, unfortunately, we have been oppressed so much that we've learned to be oppressive to each other, and that's what's happening in the churches, like Big Win was just saying. So in turn, like we internalize and then we start using it against our own people, which is what's happening, and which is why, again, not most people, but a lot of people don't go to the churches now, because it's like you see it as an institution, and you almost see it as crooks. And I hate to say it, because, you know, obviously we know somebody personally who's, you know, that's in the pastoring business, but to me, it's always looked like a hustle, and I'm not afraid to say it. It looks like a hustle, and I think we do need teachers. You know, I do think we do need teachers. I'm not gonna say preachers, but we do need teachers, and that's what the elders were. You know, in the old days, the elders of the community, they were the teachers. And, you know, it wasn't a for-profit job, so we do need that. You know what I'm saying,
bro? What you said there? I was watching a video today of someone reporting somebody at a theological school, and in that room, it was like 10, 15 people. I don't know how many it was, but like 5 or 6 of them did not believe what they were going to teach. They were studying. They were just, because it was a good paying job for them. That's why they were going into the theological field. That was it. They wanted to preach, and anyway, it was tax-free. And then they had, it pays good. Like, that's what dude said. He kept it real. I'm like, wow. And he wanted to teach somebody's church. And he only believes what he's selling.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, wow. And he said it being recorded.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it far. I think Lofty just checked in. Lofty, you there, buddy?
But I know.
Oh man, we finally got you on. Like, you dropped off. I don't know what happened. We finally
late as usual. Late as usual.
Your face, as always. I'm like, yeah.
We're just gonna throw you in the fire now. We want to know what you think about the first of all, the whole topic. Obviously, we're talking about religion being used as a tool of control. You missed that part because you're late, so we gonna punch you into right here what I just asked both. Do you think that? Well, first of all, yeah, I guess you got to answer it. First of all, do you think it's being used as a tool of control?
Yes.
All right, so we'll go from there.
Yes,
all right,
that commentary, boy, man, that was deep.
Yeah, I was listening. I chimed in. I was listening. Hey, I ain't going up against Bo with that.
But, no, that's why it's
used as a system of it's used as a system of control, because we have now we're depending on that to be like running as a financial institution versus as a church as it was established to be.
Now, with that in mind, though, I'm gonna piggyback off what I just asked both. Like, so do you think that that's a Negro problem or is it an everybody problem?
I think it's a Negro problem. Yeah. Most definitely. If you actually take a look at how the Caucasian church is ran, it's ran to help and serve the community. Versus most black churches that I've been to, you know, it's more of a how can you serve them versus how can they serve you.
True. Okay.
Damn.
So
I never looked at.
So you and
that's actually good. Like
you and Bo different on that. Because Bo says it's everybody problem.
Well, I mean, just because I visited, you know, I visited white churches and black churches. So, like, when you actually get in the environment, like, you tend to, you know, check that vibe out in the environment, and that's what it is.
No, hey, Q Lewis.
Yo.
People who the powers that be, like, what are they trying to control? Who are they trying to control, right? And,
you know what's the purpose
everybody's problem. Yeah, I say it's everybody's problem. I say it's everybody's problem because I'm looking at it from like an economic standpoint, right? So 2018, and whenever anything like, and I'm not trying to get on the whole race thing yet, but like whenever anything in race is, you know, hey, it's 2018, get over it. This happened so many years ago and whatnot. But then you go and look at like the wealth gap. It's the largest it's been since like 1989. You know, like the wealth gap in the U.S. is worse than it is in Russia or like Iran. You know what I mean? And this ain't just black folks. This is like white folks too. You know, and if you really look at it like during like election time and whatnot, you know, and what do they always say? You know, we want to, you know, hammer those that are taking advantage of benefits, and we want to have. I mean, honestly, you know, these cats, you know, they draw on a check once a month. They're getting, you know, $800, $1,000, you know, maybe $2,000, something like that. Like whatever they doing, even if they being corrupt with it, that's not bankrupting the United States, man. You know, I mean, it's not. That's not happening. You know,
touching the rock in the bucket.
Right, and so I'm looking at it too, man, and like, you know, it's how can I put this, man? Like, there is no more middle class. Like,
yeah, there is
you're right. You know,
right.
Like, you know, like, so. I guess if I'm looking at it again from financial terms, man, you know, it's something like, you know, the top, you know, the richest, you know, the upper class families and whatnot make like something like 8 times more than a middle class or a working class family, you know, and it's like less than 8% of the U.S. population. You know, but if you go back and you look at this religious stuff and you look at like black folks, white folks, Asian folks, Hispanic folks, whatever, you know, it's usually some old, you know, like run of the mill, average, like middle class cat just talking about, you know, hey, go to church and God this and God that, and that's cool. Right. Like, and if you really look at who holds the power and who holds the cars and who holds the money, you never hear cats like Bill Gates. You never hear cats like Bezos. You never hear cats like that, you know, spouting all this religion. And I think there's really a reason for that, you know. And
right.
So, like, bruh, I mean, it's just like.
But you think that they're making that they're going to keep that part of them private, though?
Right. You know, and I hear that.
Oh no, they believe in Scientology.
I don't agree with that. They Scientology, but I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying, just in general, like a lot of these cats don't give up their faith. They don't, you know, disclose that part.
Oh,
right.
Like I can understand that part of it, but I was like, as much as people are just so, our society is so pro, I got to know everything. We need to know everything about you. Somebody would have snapped a picture of Bill Gates walking into the church. Like, he walking into that church. It's Bill Gates church. Like, I can you know, like, keeping like faith, you know, secret or whatever. I could definitely agree with that. But I'm like, just how much as we're so driven to find out what the next man is doing, somebody would have took a picture of one of them dudes going to a church at one point in time. But I agree with you too, Carl, that what are they seeing different, or what are they doing different, that even if they do decide to choose to make their religion, you know, keep it between them, you know, keep it in their household, or if not, what do they know or see? Like, hey, we know the system is established. That's what they're doing. So we're going to focus on this and get this. And then in 20 years, we're going to have a generation of wealth. So it's like, right. I see Q's point of view, but I'm looking at Carl's point of view to say, what if they did understand that at an early age? And like, I'm not making no stock of that, but your dad went to work. Your dad went to church. That's what he did. I saw the flaw in that. I'm doing it this way. Now I'm taking care of my dad and my next 20 sets of grandkids. So I can see Carl's point of view now.
Hey, let me drop this real quick, man. Then y'all can go ahead and move on.
Exactly.
You know, so just like a couple things, man. Like, you know, they always talk about, you know, millennials walking away from the church. You know, and so yeah, you know, they were growing. You know, he grew up. You know, let's go to church. Blah blah blah. All that. You know, so like I read, I forget where. I think it was like in the Atlantic or something like that. That like only 50%, like today's millennials, like you know, so pretty much like flipping the coin. You know, only 50% of millennials have a chance of making more money than their parents did in their lifetime. You know, that's ridiculous. You know? I think that's why religion, you know, and education, you know, they always try to tie that back into it. You know, because education costs. You got to go damn near in debt for the next 30 years of your life to get any type of education, right?
For sure.
So, even if you look at like healthcare and life expectancy and whatnot, you know, like life expectancy between rich and poor in the U.S., not in the world, like in the U.S., it's the greatest it's been in 20 years. You know, that's not by accident, man. That's done purposely. You know, I don't know how, I don't know why, but that just doesn't happen, you know. And so whenever somebody talk about, hey, it's 2018, you know, we progressive, blah, 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 you know, why is the income disparity so large? You know, why are rich people living 20 years longer than poor people? You know, so, and then it all comes back, you know, what do we say as poor people? I don't know, man. Just put it in God's hands, man. Just, you know, just,
oh my God.
You know, just, you know.
True.
So
that's what we say.
That's what it is. That's what we say.
Yeah, it'd be like when
give it to God.
Give it to God. When the church need help, they call people, bring me your money, give me your money. The people need help, the church they call on God. Put it in God's hands.
That's a real fact.
That sounds like my grandma. Baby, just put it in God's hand, baby. Like, grandma, broke man.
But take your church out of the church, though.
Mm-hmm. You make it a church with your grandma, broke man, remember? That don't mean you can't come to church.
Damn, all night Saturday night long, you gonna praise the Lord in the morning, boy.
Yeah. You need to go.
I think we all in agreement on this, so we definitely believe, you know what I'm saying, obviously that you know, religion is being used as a tool of control. We even sort of agree on, you know, what those controlling factors are. But to wrap things up, we'll go around the round table one last time, and I want to present this question though, which is probably the most important question tonight that hasn't been asked, and is probably not even going to really be able to address at this moment. But I got to ask it anyway. And the fact is, if this is the case, if religion is being used as a tool of control, what do we do? How do you stop it? How do you get from under the thumb? Dub, I'm gonna hit you first, man. What you think?
Wow. How do you get under control? How do you get under control of religion? Honestly, I don't know the answer. Because at the end of the day, like, because we all like I believe in. We all believe in God, but I like most people believe in the higher power. And I think the thing is, religion was created by man. The only way you get to the higher being is through me, through these channels. So you can because you ever seen the movie? You mentioned The Lion.
Right. I haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Well, you should watch it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, so there's one guy who created religion. But how was quite created religion to God, right? And so I look at it like whoever it was. Okay, you know, he was free to. And some crooked guy, somebody probably created it and said, all right, you know, if you be saved and you want to go on beyond something better than this, you got to go through me. This is what we need to do. Do this, do that, and you'll live forever in the garden, and you'll have 1,000 virgins, and you'll drink Sundays. You have Sundays every day, you know, whatever. But I'm not sure how we get underneath that, because we all have that desire to belong. We all have that desire to see what's beyond what life has to offer right now. So I think we'll ever be underneath that control of religion, because I feel in some way we need it as a society to where we belong and see how we fit in to our groups.
Right. Okay, I can do that. Big Win, what you say?
That's a scary answer to that question, man, because we don't know. I mean, we really don't. Like, you know, one day they're going to pull back the veil and it's going to be on some old Handmaid's Tale shit.
Doing our
you know,
right.
Have us all hoarding hoarding us all into, one area, giving us rations and doing some old, crazy Holocaust type shit. So I honestly, I'm scared, but at the same time, like, our entire society is wrapped in it. Like, our laws are written based on religion. I mean, much of the, rules that we use to just guide our lives. It's just based on it, and if that were to collapse or to just fall apart, I mean, you'd have anarchy, man. But, in kind of the way we do need it, we do need some sort of structure, because us as creatures, man, we have no structure. We could get kind of wild.
Yeah, we can.
Hey, who preaching? Really? Did we say he preaching?
No, he said he's preaching.
I hope we do. I hope we figure it out soon and spend more time in Sunday school teaching math and science and financial stability and economics and growing gardens and things, so that we can support ourselves. Because if it does fall apart, we need to fall on ourselves. Because if not, I'm tell you what, it's just like on The Walking Dead, man. When old boy, when the death came, he locked the doors and locked his congregation outside. What you think is gonna happen when these big mega churches, like, oh shit, society falling apart? I got jets, I got cars, I got everything. So they got it. They ready to go. So I think they're just gonna pull the rug out from under us, and girl, we just gonna have to fend for ourselves.
Good. HQ, what'd you say, bro?
I think it's happening. I mean, honestly, to what Dub said and what Winston's saying, I think it's happening. I think, and also to piggyback, use a reference what Carl was saying, millennials are becoming more spiritual. Like I said, that's why. Like I said, everything is becoming more acceptable. Like everything, I think. But then the Anarchy aren't coming from our generation, our kids' generation, or their friends' generation. It's coming from our parents' generation. They don't like to see all that. So that's why you in the video posted of the old white woman going off on a black person in the mall. Anarchy. Right. Everything that was established is falling apart because the system has found a hole somehow. Somebody found a hole in the system, and it's being torn open by individuals with questions and curiosity. And we don't know how to do it. I think we're slowly working our way out of control to becoming more spiritual. But then like I said, that's the anarchy side of it, because the older generation are having more problems with it. Like the older generation, you look in the news. Honestly, I ask all my peers on this phone, look at the news for the last 2 to 4 years, 3 to 5. How many attacks have you seen by people over the age of 50? It's ridiculous. Right. Just physically attacking, verbally attacking somebody. It's happening because their whole system of what they grew up on, what their parents grew up on, it's falling apart. I think that's where the anarchy side, we're seeing the anarchy side of it. Hopefully, our generation, our kids' generation can figure it out and put better use to it. So it's a better foundation for our kids and our kids when they experience life.
For sure. I see. My man, it's some high quality, huh?
So it's on you now, Lawson. So this is what we're talking about. Basically, we are in agreement that, it's being used as a tool of control. So the question on the table now that we go end out the show with is, how do you think we get from under that control? How do you get from under the control of religion?
So eventually we're going to have to accept the word for what the word is and start trying to get along with these man-made ideals or what ideologies, whatever you want to call them. Because, at the end of the day, God is still God. However, all these systems are in place to control and put God in a box. God's not in a box. You got to remember that. So for us, as, on sitting around this table talking or whatever, we got to be mindful that we got to actually tell people that there's more to this world than what this rule of thumb that we've been under. Because that's what the problem with the world is now. Look at our president. He can't understand how he can't keep control because those old ways don't work anymore. It's a new day. Right. People are wiser, more spiritual, more at one with themselves first, and then they go out and do what they got to do. So really, we just got to continue to change the mode on what religion, actually get rid of religion. because love is a religion.
that ain't gonna never happen.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like we got to continue to discredit that message that like it's bigger than just whatever they say it is, because there's so many man-made rules in religion that it's unreal.
Exactly.
If you really look, if you actually read the Bible, you'll find that most of the stuff that's set in place is false.
Right. I hear you. Oh, that's what's up.
So Bo, keep on pushing forward, man. Go ahead, Bo.
So Bo, what you say?
Yeah. So
how you get from under it?
Hey, Lawson, man. I love you, bro. But I'm gonna have to disagree, right? So like,
you always gonna disagree with me. It's okay. It's the whole point of that.
So like, cats that are Christian and whatnot, and they take the Bible as the word of God, and that's cool, like. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing the Bible to this, but like, I look at the whole situation like, so what the Bible really is a history book, right? I mean, that's essentially what it is.
And they ripped out a part of that history too. There's a lot missing.
I'm not even going that deep yet. But what I'm saying is like go back to middle school. Think about your history book in middle school that you read. When you had the 6 pages about Black history, or the 4 pages about whites taking the country from Native Americans and whatnot. That's a history book. No matter how old it is, that's still somebody wrote that. So like, I mean, I think to overcome this, man, you just have to really think critically about who you are, what you want out of life, and like just be true to yourself, man. Like,
yeah. Right.
So one thing that kind of troubles me is like I think it was a Pew Research poll that said that African Americans are now more religious than any other race in America, white, Hispanics, Asians, whatever. And because I think it gets to a point where you get so fed up with some things, it's like, all right, well, so I turn to. And again, like we said before, you put it in God's hands, bro, right? So
put it in God's hands,
and I think you get so worn out with that, that we just had to start teaching our people, man, to we got to start thinking critically about this. We can't just rely on to put it in God's hands. Yeah, if you believe in God, that's cool. And you believe in higher power, that's great. But what's that one saying too? If you want to go back to the Bible, God takes care of those who take care of themselves and whatnot. Take care of yourself, man. And use your own truth. You know what I mean?
That's what I say. But see, Bo, you still agree with me in the same sense. You got to know that stuff for yourself. You got to show yourself your own knowledge.
Right.
You can't depend on somebody else's knowledge with it. You know what I mean?
I get that, but I'm also saying to think critically about things, right? So if I'm opening up the Bible or any other history book, and I see something that's telling me like a talking snake told somebody not to eat an apple. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
Man, they beat people over the head with that, man. Like,
I mean, straight up. Straight up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like maybe something like that happened, but you got to remember, like, things are always translated and passed in time and whatnot. And they want to. And these are stories. These are parables. They are meant to be rememberable. So so people remember.
You're gonna get that best. Yeah, you're gonna get the best stories possible. You know that.
Yeah. All right. So all I'm saying, I'm not saying believe in the Bible. I'm not saying don't believe in the Bible. All I'm saying is just think critically about it and believe in your own truth.
That's it.
Right.
At the end of the day.
All right, for sure. All right, well, that's a good way to wrap it up. And basically, like I said, I think we all agree on one thing. And the one thing is, in order to get under or from under the control of religion, is you got to find your own spirituality, whatever that means to you. So you get your own connection with your higher power. And that's probably, well, I won't say probably, I will say that's the only way that you can get up from under the control. But I will say, Big Wing, you got to if you completely get away from religion, we might have a problem. But
it's gonna be total chaos over.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like the black question, like that we can't really answer, and that question is, when will we ever actually overcome? I think this is like a to be continued all the time whenever you try to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no real answer.
I think that question. I'm gonna agree with it. Right.
I think this is the perfect way to go ahead. We're going to end this session today, dog. I'm going to use that, kids. I'm going to use that. Yeah, I think we had a great discussion today, man. Again, I want to thank everybody for checking out our very first episode. Okay, dog. I want to thank everybody for checking out our very first episode of Notes from the Negro Section, man. I got my man HQ in the building.
Pleasure being a part of this first podcast. Hopefully there'll be many more effectful, powerful conversations and thoughtful conversations, and that future listeners or current listeners can look back on this and just take whatever they need from it to help them, like you said, find growth and betterness within themselves, and spread that to move forward.
For sure. Got my man Dub in the building.
Yeah. All right. I can't do better than HQ do it. So y'all have a good night. Yeah, take it easy.
For sure. I got my man Lawson in the building.
Peace, love, and hair grease.
I got my man Big Will in the building.
Hope we just continue to, move forward, try and, create a stronger bond between one another, and make sure that we treat one another with respect, man. Try and find a way.
Sure.
Don't let somebody's misbehavior destroy your peace of mind.
No, that's deep. My man Bo to round it out.
Yeah, man. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything, man. BD4L.
For sure, BD4L. You already know what it is, man. The very first episode of Notes from the Negro Section is your boy, Q Lewis, man. Holla at your boy, man. We'll be back next week. Same bad channel, same bad time, man. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Final. It's just so big, man.